Hello, and welcome to Echoes of the Workshop. My name is James, and today I'm going to be doing a painting guide for the Grey Hunters from the new Space Wolves range. This is the model we're going to be working on today, and this has been sprayed with a leather brown from the Army Painter. This is just one of their rattle cans, but any other dark sort of leathery burnt umber type brown will be perfect for this job. Now what I am going to, or how I'm going to be painting this model is something that I've sort of decided to call the Travarian. Essentially his use of sponges to apply the paint in a way where it's sort of scuffed at the edges and look like he's been in a fight, not sort of fresh off the factory, fresh out of the factory, fresh out of the armory, and I want my Space Wolves to look like they've been in a fight. So I'm going to use these makeup sponges, the beauty blenders they're called. This was just a very cheap multi-pack that I got from Amazon, and yeah, we're gonna start off by soaking this in water, and as you can see here, it's gonna be thunderous blue. So that's just gonna go on the wet palette next to me. We've got our sponge all nice and wet, and we're just gonna grab it with the end of the sponge and apply it onto the model. It's a very different technique than painting with a brush, but I will also end up using a brush for this particular model. Because the disadvantage of using said sponge is you can't get into all of the recesses, all of the shadow areas that you can only really do with a brush. So here we are, just dabbing it on, leaving a little bit of an edge where I just want it to look as if he's been scuffed up in combat. So that's that all done with the sponge. At this point I can't get into the areas I want the blue to go, so just loading up a brush and going into those recesses and making sure the base coat of the armour is looking smooth and nice. So now that's all done, we're going to be going back to the sponge and using some wolf grey. It's 2 steps up in the Army Painter Fanatics Triad series, and essentially I'm going to be using the same sponge to apply some highlights from above, just blending it into that. Blending it into the armour. So this looks fairly subtle. At least how I've done it, it looks fairly subtle. Yeah, I like the look. I'm happy with it. So from here, we're going to grab our matte black and matte white, and we're going to be applying some sort of secondary primer levels, I suppose you could call them. Essentially the base layer that the other colours are going to go on top of later. So here, this shoulder pad's going to be black, because while I haven't done this in this video, eventually I'm going to be applying the Night Runner chapter marking from the Space Wars, because I just think it looks the coolest, and that goes on a black background. So yeah, that's what I've done here. Likewise, anything that I afterwards want to be metallic gets black base coat. So the teeth of the chainsword, the handle, eventually the Aquila on his chest, and any other other small metallic bits like knife handles, pistol grips like here. The exhaust tubes, those will be silver as well. There's some sort of strapping and joints of the armour, which are also going to get a quick go over in black. So that's now all done. We're going to get started with the white base coat. This is going to go on the chainsword blade, the gun casing, the head is going to be white as well, and any sort of smaller bits that are going to have a lighter colour go on top. So anything like well, these are space wolves, so any skulls, any wolf tooths, any teeth. What are you, tooths? Talking about, you strange man. Teeth and totems and other things like that. Just on with a nice white base layer. Really like using these two colours from the Fanatic range from the Army Painter. Just goes on super smooth, super easily, and usually in one coat it's ready to go on with the next colour. The next steps are coming up right now. That's all dry, so we're going to grab the next slot of colours for us to use. So I believe in the course of painting the armour is leather holster. Got a bit of stray blue, so I'm just cleaning that up, and also the strap of his bolt gun. This is just leather brown from the Army Painter. nothing else. And to the next one. So I'm going to go with a Vallejo colour this time, because I have it and it needs using. Once this one runs out, I'll inevitably pick up the Fanatic equivalent. This is a colour called Cold Grey from the game colour range from Vallejo. Yeah, so this is a Grey Hunter, so of course he has to have grey hair. That's that one, and then Resplendent Red for the shoulder pad, and any other red details. For example, if there's a purity seal on the model, this one doesn't have any, so no need for that there. But yeah, this is just going to go onto the shoulder pad, and I'll freehand the black details over the top of it afterwards. Trying to do this in like a stippling motion. It's not going to have the exact same effect as the sponge, but it works. And now onto our yellow, which, if I'm remembering correctly, is Demonic again from the Fanatics range. May need a second coat of this, but it's going to have some cool details on it afterwards, so one coat might be okay if you want to save time. So this, I like to have my gun cases also in the same colour, so yeah, that just goes on the casing of his bolt rifle. That's all done. So here is Frost Blue. Now I guess I could do some edge highlighting with Frost Blue, but quite frankly I'm not very good at edge highlighting, so I don't usually bother. At least not in a colour. There'll be something similar later on in the video. So you're just doing a second coat of the yellow to make it nice and smooth. The bane of hobby painters, yellow. just takes a second coat usually, and yeah. Let's say big fan of the Fanatic range. That's super smooth coverage. Really happy. Just a quick one here. He has a grenade on his belt, and all I'm going to do is use a speed paint called Snake Green, and yeah, easy as that, just over the top. Job done. Now, the aforementioned details. I love a hazard stripe on my chainsword. I just think it just adds something very quintessential 40k to a model. So yes, it takes time to do, but the more you practice, the better you get at this stuff. So yeah, as you see, I've got a nice grip on the model with two hands and resting on my desk, and I just start. I sort of lined it up with the the end, I suppose you'd call it the pointy end of the sword. Just a diagonal line going across said blade. Now just rotating, lining it up, get into a nice comfortable hold. just nice and gently blocking in those stripes. There we are. Easy as that. A little bit of touch up. Lovely job. I'm fairly certain I forgot to record me painting his face, but that has just had a quick base layer of pale flesh from Game Color by Vallejo. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Here's me painting pale flesh onto his face. Just cleaning up the hair there. What we're going to do here is apply some edge highlights to the leather bits. So all I've done is taken some of our base leather brown, 50-50 mix of ice yellow, and just going to highlight the edges of the holster and the strapping there, and any other leather bits the model might happen to have. And what I'll also do with this is apply some light scratching and dots over the sort of the flat surface, as you can see here. It's subtle, but it makes it pop a little. It makes it look like it's been used rather than it's just been manufactured. So now on with the metallics. So this is Glorious Gold from Vallejo Air. I'm just using this with a brush. I really think sort of the bronzy look really sort of, I just like it. I prefer it to gold or whatever other colour you'd paint the Aquila. I just think it matches up the darker grey, darker sort of blue grey, which I prefer for my Space Wolf power armor. I'm not the biggest fan of the baby blue. Just don't like it. I think this looks cooler. So they're my models. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, once that's gone on there, I'll just go around the rest of the model and see if anything else needs to be bronze. So the handle of the chainsword, and any other. I like to, if there's like a wolf tail pendant, I like to paint the top bit of that in this colour as well. Sets it off really nicely. So now on with the silver again from Vallejo Air. The teeth of the chainsword. This bit on the top, which I don't know what it is, but it's going to be silver. And the other side as well. Just picking them out. The pistol grip. And the bits of the backpack, the exhausts there. and likewise on to his bolt rifle. Just locking a nice silver all over the bits that we painted black before. Just find the metallics sit better on a black undercoat. So that's what young me was taught in Games Workshop in the 90s, and I've always done it. So that's what we'll do. So I've gone back to the bronze here for the handle. And there we go. So I've just seen something I want white. I believe it's the wolf skull in the middle of this pendant on hanging off his belt. Also the gemstone. This particular model has a gemstone in the middle of the Aquila. Do that in white, so the red will pop nice and easily when it goes on. Speak of the devil. The way I like to do my gems is just take a appropriate speed paint. So this is the Vallejo Express Color Plasma Red, and that nice and easy onto the gem. This might also work by painting it a sort of like an ivory colour, do an edge highlight of white, and then doing plasma red over the top. I think that would pick it out nicely as well. So here we're taking a different piece of sponge. This one's from a dish scourer. I'm taking our black paint again, and I'm just dabbing it on to the yellow of both the gun case and the chainsword. Just gives it here it is. That's basically the product I use. Just rip a bit off. Just sells the effect, I find, when it looks a bit sort of like some paint has come peeling off the bits you want. So looking at what I've done, I don't think I've recorded freehanding the black onto a shoulder pad. Oops. So I've basically just done a fairly simple design for this one. It's just a big black triangle basically, and I've just, similar to the yellow, I've just sponge chipped some of the red on that, so it looks like a bit's peeled off. So if you remember what I said before about edge highlighting, here it is, metal edge highlights, rather than sort of the bright edge highlights of the triad, which would be in this case a frost blue. I just like to go over the edges which are still showing brown and just giving them a quick going over with metal, this sort of metal colour that I used for all the metallics. Just gives it this extra metallic look, makes it look as if he's been beat up. On to the shade. So I have recently picked this up, and I've been really, really happy with how it's shaded down the skin tone for my Fenrisians. So we're going to start off with the bronze. That's going to go on there. I think it's going to go on all the metallics. It just really sort of knocks back that shine. Makes it look a bit more, beaten up and used. So that's going to go over the whole pendant there, which has the skull in the middle, shading any teeth, shading the silver there on the weapon, and likewise it will go on his face. Just sort of gives this sort of leathery look to the skin, which is how the people of Fenris are always described, sort of living on this death world. I've put some through the hair as well, so it's a bit sort of a unified look on his head. Yeah, looking good, Mr. Grey Hunter, looking good. So, on to the base, which again I have taken inspiration from Trevelyan. This is essentially how he bases the model in his Black Templar Grimdark video. So, old brush, PVA glue all over the surface. Small container, which you'll see in a moment, in which I have several varieties of sand, basic fine sand. And there's greyish things in there. It's I forget what the product is called, but it's basically a slightly larger grit. And this is essentially where the models get dunked in once they've got the PVA. Let that dry. On with black again. Nice cheap brush for this. You do not want to be using your Kolinsky Sable brushes for dragging through sand. Just cheapest thing you can find. That just does the job really nice. Again. Once that's fully dry, we grab our next product, which is the liquid pigments rusting from Green Stuff World. I thin this down slightly, the turquoise oxide, and then I take the same cheap brush and apply it all over the base. Just gives that sort of icy look from below. The snow will appear before. What I'll also do with this is go over his feet. This particular sculpt has him stepping forward, so on the underside of that is a great spot to have this colour. I couldn't actually find my my liquid pigments white when I recorded this video, so I just grabbed a titanium white acrylic ink. This one from Liquitex, and it does pretty much the same job. Again, just thin it down with water. It's better to paint two thinner coats than one thick one. See me just go over the boots and the underside. You don't want to go too high, but it sells the effect of him walking through snow. Speaking of snow, once that's had 2 coats and has dried, here goes our snow texture. I'm using the technical Valhalla Blizzard from Citadel. I'm just grabbing a clump of it and I'm just applying it in places where I think it looks good. It's pretty easy to overdo this. You can apply as little or as much as you want. You could create a full-on snowdrift if you wanted to. And there we are. Our Grey Hunter is complete. So, thank you very much for watching my very first painting guide on this channel. I'd really appreciate it if you could give the video a like, leave us a comment, let's have a chat about what you've seen today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.